So I think it's safe to say that the Patrick Bailey inside the park walk-off three-run homer from a couple nights ago was definitively the best moment of the entire year. I think it's really difficult to find another play that the Giants have had this entire year, and there may be some recency bias in there, but I don't think so. It's tough to find another play or think of another play that matched just the pure kinetic energy, the vibes, just the everything of that moment. And I specify moment because the game leading up to that point was a pretty pedestrian ball game. The Giants were trailing 3-1 up to that point. Robbie Ray had just kind of whatever start. I think it was 5 2/3 innings allowed. I think one run, it might have been one of like 3 times the entire season he hadn't pitched at least 6 innings. Just kind of a fine start or whatever start. But the game itself, until that final moment, it really lacked in the energy department. And I say all that to say that if the Patrick Bailey inside the park walk-off three-run homer was the moment of the season, then I think it's also safe to say that this was the game of the season, as the Giants defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers 8-7 in their first meeting at Oracle Park this year. I think we all know what happened the last time the Giants played the Dodgers, period. That was when the Rafael Devers trade went down right before Sunday Night Baseball. Kyle Harrison got pulled from his start less than an hour before his pitch. There was none of that. No one got traded right before the game. But this game, again, it's just going to be really tough to beat, just purely from the perspective of entertainment, because it was the two best teams in the National League West, two of the best teams in baseball, just straight up trading haymakers. It was a lot of just really, really great baseball. And the way that this game started as far as a scoring perspective, and I'm going to do some kind of play-by-play here just to really capture the entirety of this game. The way that this game got started was in the bottom of the second on a warm-ish San Francisco night. I say warm-ish because there's any night here really all that warm. But on a warm night by San Francisco standards, Willy Adames sends a deep drive to right center field. And we've seen a fair amount of balls hit by Adames to that part of the ballpark just kind of die in Triple's alley. But this one just kept on going, and it cleared the Visa sign over there in right center field. It wasn't his farthest homer of the year, but 416 to the other way, his first time really taking on Triple's alley and winning. He ends up with a solo homer. The Giants lead 1-0, but the good vibes of that solo homer quickly dissipate because Shohei Ohtani not only one-ups him with a homer of his own, but hits his first splash hit in this ballpark. He takes a cutter that Logan Webb does not throw inside enough and is able, instead of getting jammed, is not able to quite extend the arms, but it kind of ends up, instead of being inside, more middle than inside, and he just sends it right over where I'm sitting right now into the water. His first splash hit in this stadium, and that makes it a 2-1 game in favor of the Dodgers. And the Giants, not in the bottom of the third, but in the bottom of the fourth, have their own response when Jung-Hoo Lee hits a triple right over the glove of Teoscar Hernandez. That makes it a 3-2 game. Jung-Hoo Lee then tries to score on a sacrifice fly, or a fly ball hit to left field. I believe, I'm forgetting who was off the bat by, but former Giant and current Dodger Michael Conforto makes just an absolutely perfect throw to catcher Will Smith at the plate. And Smith, in and of himself, makes a great tag to kind of go around where Lee was projected to slide and lay on the tag. And Bob Melvin said after the game that he believed that Lee was safe, but it's one of those calls that, because the call on the field wasn't out, it would have been very difficult to overturn. That leads us into the bottom of the fifth, and this is where the Giants throw their real first haymaker of the game. And it's beginning with Dom Smith hitting an opposite field solo homer, and kind of similar to the Adames homer, it was just on a fly ball that just kept going and going. And if we're playing this game earlier in this week, it might just die at the warning track, but just keeps going, flips it over the left field wall. That makes it a 4-2 game. Chapman beats out a double play with, I believe, the bases loaded. That makes it a 5-2 game. And then Willy Adames has his second big swing of the night. Doesn't clear the right center field fences, but hits one Triple's alley, but drives in two with a triple. It extends the lead to 7-2, and as he slides into third base uncontested, jumps up, kind of pounds his chest a little bit. Again, that makes it a 7-2 ball game. And then Jung-Hoo Lee beats out an infield single as Dodgers reliever Anthony Bonda tripped as he was trying to cover first base. That makes it an 8-2 game going into the top of the sixth inning. And you would think, with Logan Webb on the mound, with the Giants leading by 6 runs, this would have all the makings of a pretty easy win for the Giants. But, I mentioned this. I had this quote at the top of my Giants-Dodgers preview story from yesterday that when these two teams play, when these rivals play, you kind of throw everything out the window. You throw a little bit of a convention out the window. And in the top of the sixth, the Dodgers had a haymaker of their own with a 4-run inning. Webb began that inning by drilling Mookie Betts in, I think it was either the right thigh or the left thigh, but Mookie Betts just instantly went down. He did manage to avoid the true area that you don't want to get hit by a couple inches, but Betts went down. It kind of took him a couple minutes to gather himself. But beginning with that hit by pitch, the Dodgers go double by Will Smith, 2-run double by Teoscar Hernandez that trims the lead to 8-4, and then again former Giant Michael Conforto hits one over the center field fence, a 2-run shot, trims the Giants' advantage at the time from 8-4 to 8-6, and then all of a sudden Logan Webb with a snap of a finger is out of the ball game. And I believe Randy Rodriguez was the one to enter for him to finish out the sixth inning. He finishes out the sixth inning, but then Will Smith has an RBI single off Rodriguez in the seventh inning. That makes this an 8-7 game. Tyler Rogers pitches a scoreless eighth inning. That means we're going into the top of the ninth inning, 8-7, and Camilo Doval has the responsibility of facing Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, the three All-Stars, the three probably future Hall of Famers. Doval is able to begin his outing by getting Ohtani out. I think he gets him to ground out. But then from there, Mookie Betts hits a single to put the tying run on base. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts immediately pinch runs Betts for Esteury Ruiz, who it's the fact that the Dodgers have the luxury of having someone as fast as Ruiz off the bench speaks to the caliber of this team. Ruiz steals second. That puts the tying run on second base with one out. Camilo Doval walks Freddie Freeman on 4 pitches. And now you're looking at the possibility of things getting very ugly in a hurry if Doval isn't able to find his command. But he's able to bear down and get Will Smith to ground into an inning-ending double play. Chapman to Schmidt to Dominic Smith at first base. Game over. The Giants are now 4 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West. The Dodgers have now lost 7 straight games. It's their longest losing streak since 2017, and depending on that part of the year, I was either a freshman in college or a sophomore in college, depending on the time of the year. But it has been a long time since the Dodgers have lost that many games in a row. They also went to the World Series that year, so take that for what it's worth. But here's Willy Adames talking about tonight's win.
Able back for several weeks now. How did it feel out there? Something about was carrying
Yeah, just, I feel like we were executing the hitting approach today very well, and, we took good at bats. We got really good pitches to hit today, so I think we took advantage of that and put up some runs and try to give our pitchers some comfortable spots to come in and help us win the game, and, at the end, we won.
First taste of the rivalry in this ballpark. What do you take away of how the atmosphere felt?
Amazing. The energy was like at the highest level. I think that was the highest, the louder crowd that we had all year. It was insane. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I loved it.
Well, you told us earlier in the year that when you click, it kind of just clicks for the rest of the season. You feel pretty comfortable. At what point did you feel like everything clicked in with your swing and you were maybe back to yourself?
I think I would say maybe like a few weeks ago I started feeling better at the plate. It's like taking better at bats and putting myself in hitters' counts and taking advantage of that. And I feel like since then I've been feeling really good at the plate. And trying to executing my plan. And I think that's the most important thing when we go into the plate. Is just like trusting the plan that you have and just staying with it and giving it a shot.
Willie,
Thank you.
How do you feel about this rivalry, being a part of it here? You were in LA, and this is the first time here.
Amazing.
You pick up anything from the fans?
Yeah, amazing. Not gonna lie, I feel like we had too many Dodgers fans today here. So maybe tomorrow we get more San Francisco fans. But no, the energy was intense. I loved it. It felt like a playoff game, to be honest. That's how high the energy was tonight. But like I said, I loved it, and I love playing games like that. So hopefully, tomorrow they show up again.
As far as getting your swing to fall into place, is there anything mechanical that you tweaked since the beginning of the season, or is it just kind of, as you said, like falling into place?
I think everything is just falling into place. The confident, just going out there with confidence and just, like I say, just trusting in your plan and giving your plan a shot, and just not giving up on it. I feel like when we're struggling, we're just trying to force everything, trying to make it happen. We don't even walk a lot when we're struggling. So I feel like when you're doing great, it's like when you're giving yourself an opportunity to, like, okay, just trust yourself, you're gonna be all right. And then, yeah, I feel like I'm in that stage right now.
Was that home run trot a little bit more animated than usual?
Yeah, I mean, every home run, I feel like it's great. We take all of them. Hopefully, we get a lot of them like that. I would celebrate all of them.
Right.
Unless we lose them, but now
I thought there was a little more with this.
No, it was great. It was the same. I mean, energy-wise, from the fans was different, but for me, it was great.
You've been trying for that right center field gap for a while now. Do you feel like you've kind of gotten a little more used to it here in this ballpark?
Yeah, kind of. To be honest, I didn't even think that ball was going to go out today. By the world, like the ball said, yeah, I feel like I've been getting more comfortable here at the park, just trusting my ability to hit it all the way, and just letting the ball do whatever, and it's just not thinking about the results, and I think it's been working better now. So. Dang, it's hot in here.
It is hot in here.